All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 53rd Ramblestream. As usual, if you can't hear me, let me know in the comments. Let me go and pull those comments up here. Oh, we got a bunch of comments already. Thank you, Kelly. Kelly says, sound is good. I can hear you before video. Oh, good. You hear me shuffling around. Well, great. Most of you all are old hands here on the Ramblestream, but you're the ones that I hear from. I know that there are plenty of folks that view this that don't comment, and that's okay. However, I do encourage you to give us a shout out and let us know you're here. The format, you don't even have to come up with the format. You don't even have to tell us figure out what to say. I can tell you. The format that we usually follow is tell us your name, or if you believe in anonymity, which I fully support online, give us your handle, whatever you go by, and where you're viewing the Ramblestream from, and what you ramble with, whether it's a bicycle, whether you walk, whether you paddle, whether you sail, whether you ride or drive. How do you ramble? And if it's a Janus, what's the model and serial number? And last but not least, what are you sipping on? My name is Richard Borsham, founder and designer here at Janus Motorcycles. I am located in Goshen, Indiana, and I'm broadcasting live from TT, which is our fabrication shop, about 5 minutes south of our main headquarters, and very close to my house. And let's see, I ramble with Halcyon 250 number 68. And this evening I am drinking one of my favorites, a lovely Janus cup with Evan Williams and water. Classic mix. Cheers, fellow ramblers. Cheers to y'all. Okay, let's take a look at some comments, and then we'll read a poem and move on to our program for the evening, which I have to admit, I often say on here that I'm ill-prepared, but I'm especially ill-prepared this evening. I was traveling all last week. I left, I'll tell you where I was going, but I left on Friday night. Really, it was like 12:30 Saturday morning, and got back this Saturday at around midnight. And so gone for a week and kind of catching up on jet lag, and then today catching up on all the things I'd missed while I was away for a week. So it's been a busy week, but just the story of where I've been and what I've seen is probably going to keep us pretty well occupied. And we can also dig into some other stuff as well. So let's look at some comments first. Plenty of comments this evening. Semtech, John here in Southern California, and I just finished talking to Mitch, who took my deposit. Nice. Halcyon 250 number ? Sipping a 7-Up. Nice. And you have been on the Ramblestream for a while. Right, John? I mean, I recognize your handle. Tell me that the Ramblestream helped you buy a motorcycle, and it'll make me feel better. Alan Carter is on Halcyon 250 number 1114. He just got off of work, and he's going to be sipping on a Miller 64 soon. Nice. We have the Felix brothers on. They have 450 number 120 and 121, sipping on some New Holland Peach Space Machine IPA. One second, I'm going to turn off this air. There we go. Let's see. Tom Lathrop. Thank you, my friend. Another longtime rambler here. Griffin 250 number 149. Halcyon 250 number 1008. Burlington, Wisconsin. Sipping on a LaCroix seltzer water. Awesome. Well, let's see if I can keep all these pronunciations correct. I got Rowan down right. So now it's up to you, Tom. No, I got to make sure I nail your Lathrop. Charles McGagan checking in. I'll catch the rerun. I have another commitment. Well, good for you for checking in then, Charles. That's awesome. Kelly is on. Awesome. He says, hello, fellow Ramblers. Halcyon 450 number 236. Nisholba Holba. That's my native language for coyote. Wow. 2013 Harley Ultra, 2006 Harley Davidson Heritage. My thoughts and prayers to all the people affected by Helene. Orange Crush, the classic Orange Crush. Good to see you. Yes, it is, especially in your neck of the woods, Kelly. The East Coast and the South have been hit really, really hard. I am friends with a police chief from Marion, Virginia, on LinkedIn, and he was posting some incredible photographs of the devastation. Just these places that you don't think of hurricanes affecting, mountain towns. And the flash flooding that's affected them. So pretty intense stuff. And it, as of this morning, it hadn't even crested yet. So yeah, absolutely. Keeping all those people in our prayers. Charles says, Simtech 57, welcome to the family. Awesome. Mark Stevens, Westland, Michigan, Halcyon 250, number 643, Bib and Tucker Double Char Bourbon. Very nice indeed. Kelly, just wanted to say that really had a good time at the rally. Well, I had a good time hanging out with you too as well, Kelly. Enjoyed hearing everyone's stories and adventures. I can't wait for next year's rally. Thanks to the Janus crew. Well, thank you, Kelly. It was great having you. Arthur Norby, here early, Halcyon number 1039, waiting for Griffin 159 to be built. Coffee with vanilla ice cream. Wonderful. Dave Bowen. Hey, Richard. Great to see you. Had a great time seeing you all at the Janus family at the rally. I'm sitting with 450 number 41 and a Belgian-style triple cheers. Well, good to see you, Dave. And it was really good to see you in person. I know you made it out before, but it was good to hang out with you in person finally after all the emails and phone calls and ramble streams we've shared together. So that was really special. It was good to see you, and I'm glad you're enjoying your 450. Simtech, thanks, Charles. No more daydreaming. Well, awesome. That's great. That's really good. That's does me good to hear. Perry Ford's on. Okay, I'm hooked on Evan Williams now. Well, okay, a word on Evan Williams. Evan Williams is not, I think it's fair to say, even as a devotee, the best bourbon in the world. There are much more refined bourbons from perhaps even better known distillers. But Evan Williams is a real bourbon in the sense that it's what you could get 20 years ago, before the bourbon craze, which there has been a massive increase in popularity of bourbon. This was what you would drink in Virginia, at least, where we know how to drink bourbon. And even at the highest levels of society, this was the bourbon people just drank. Now, I'm sure you could also get, your Maker's Mark, but Maker's Mark is sort of yuppie bourbon. And then since then, there have been many bourbons, and I agree. One of my favorite bourbons is Woodford Reserve. I love Woodford Reserve, but this is just solid American whiskey, a good bourbon from Kentucky, and it's what my family has always drunk. If there's a bourbon and water or a hot toddy in the Worsham, Virginia household, it's Evan Williams. Occasionally some Jim Beam, but Evan Williams is the go-to. So anyway, enough on Evan Williams. He says, our K75S will be back on the road in 2 weeks. Thanks for bringing back the Monday evening video chat. Well, it never went away. It just, I have to take breaks sometimes if I'm not here or if I'm on vacation or whatever. So it's an off and on. It comes and goes, but more often than not, we have a Ramblestream on Monday evening. Whit says, good evening from Charleston, South Carolina. Halcyon 450 number 277. EOS. Sipping on water tonight. Good to see you, Whit. Kelly says, I really hope that Dan Radimski is okay. He lives near Ashford. That's right. That's a good point. I hope, Dan, if you're on, sign in. Tell us how you're doing. Absolutely. Keith Haywood says Halcyon 706 in New York. Cabernet Sauvignon tonight as usual. Great. Good to see you, Keith. Motard, any chance Janus will be at Barber Vintage Festival this year? I know you guys have had a packed schedule lately, but I'm sure lots of people there would love to see Janus bikes in person. Last I heard, I had an email from them, and they were asking if we wanted to be there, and we're trying to marshal our forces to see if we can have someone that will be there. I am out of town, or I would be there. I think it's my sister-in-law is getting married, my sister-in-law is getting married that weekend, so I cannot make it. But I always love going to Barber. We've been many years, and we make sales there. So I do hope we can. Unfortunately, I don't know yay or nay at this point. If we did, we'd be sending probably Kyle or Mitch down with a couple of bikes at this point. I hope we can. I do hope we can. Riggedy Alps. Goodness, I feel like it's been forever since a live ramble stream. Cheyenne's still in need of some attention after the ride home from the rally, but she's comfortable in the clubhouse for now. Very good. Well, let us know if you need anything for your bike. It was good to see you in person and hang out at the rally. And it hasn't been that long, right? 2 weeks, right? Perry says, I'm into that. I'm not sure what he's, maybe to Riggedy Alps. Steve Q. Hello from Hurst, Texas, riding Halcyon 250 number 988 and new Halcyon 450 number 304, sipping Desert Door Texas Sotol. I don't know what that is. Kelly says, sound is good. I can hear you. Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that, Kelly. Riggedy Alps says, the rally was so much fun and well worth the 1,900-mile round trip. So glad to put many faces to names. That is great. Really great. Jordan Hand. Hello from Wyoming. No wind today. Riding was awesome. Great to see the leaves changing colors. Sipping a Founders IPA. Wonderful. Jordan Hand. I should recognize the name. Do you ride a Janus? Remind me. If you do, my apologies. But post up what you ride. JMac77. Is this where I get the free Janus motorcycle? Yep, that's right. You got to stay to the end of the ramble stream and make a whole bunch of comments and like the video, and you might, who knows what'll happen. Jim2240 says, greetings from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Halcyon 450 number 240 and soon Halcyon 450 number 300. Sipping on an athletic near beer. Oh, nice. Jeremy Orvik's on. Afternoon, evening all. Jeremy from Santa Cruz here. Halcyon 450 number 214. Sipping bad hospital coffee. Well, that answers us where you are. You're not home this evening. Good to see you, Jeremy. Dave Dixon, Halcyon 450 number 266, Cato, Wisconsin, having a glass of port and a cigar after a great 90-mile ride up Lake Michigan shoreline this afternoon. Well, that sounds like you are enjoying a good evening. Cheers, and sounds like a great ramble. Is it as cloudy up there as it is down here? It's been kind of cool and cloudy really all week. And today here in Goshen. Jim Bledsoe. Hi, Richard. And then there were two, my Victory Vegas and the Rebel Bobber. I will be stopping by early next year to buy a third Janus. Oh, fantastic. Until then, it's Yingling and an empty spot in my garage. Wonderful. Ray Spengler says, Ray from New Jersey, Halcyon 250 number JM 715. Once I get it back on the road, sipping on a local brew from Carton Brewing called Boat. Nice. Riggedy Alps says, Rich from Riggedy Alps Homestead. Riggedy Alps Homestead. Nice. I didn't know that was the background to the name. Located in Massachusetts. Halcyon 450 number 234, Cheyenne, and 1988 Harley-Davidson Wide Glide 95th Anniversary Edition, Spirit, are parked in the clubhouse. Maybe a Sam Adams tonight? Russ Peters, Detlef 450 number 86, Owensburg, Kentucky, 1962 Norton Dominator 88SS, 74 Honda 550, 72 Honda 500 K2, 71 Honda 350 K3, finding Joy in Earl Grey. Oh, nice. John Hiss, waiting for delivery in 2 days. Monkey ride until then. Celebrating Dad's root beer. Thanks, John. Fantastic. Well, we'll save some more comments for next, but we're going to move to a poem now. And I thought it would be fitting, given the topic of what I'll talk about this evening, to read this poem by our dear friend, Mr. Wilbur. This is titled Digging for China by Richard Wilbur. Far enough down is China, somebody said. Dig deep enough and you might see the sky as clear as the bottom of a well. Except it would be real, a different sky. And then you could burrow down until you came to China. Oh, it's nothing like New Jersey. There's people, trees, and houses, and all that, but much, much different. Nothing looks the same. I went and got the trowel out of the shed and sweated like a coolie all that morning, digging a hole beside the lilac bush, down on my hands and knees. It was a sort of praying, I suspect. I watched my hand dig deeper and darker, and I tried and tried to dream a place where nothing was the same. The trowel never did break through to blue. Before the dream could weary of itself, my eyes were tired of looking into darkness, my sun-baked head of hanging down a hole. I stood up in a place I had forgotten, blinking and staggering while the earth went round and showed me silver barns, the fields dozing in palls of brightness, patens growing and gone in the tide of leaves, and the whole sky china blue. Until I got my balance back again, all that I saw was China, China, China. So a nice segue into what we'll talk about this evening, which is I just got back from China. I took a week and went and visited Taiwan and China and to visit some of our suppliers. And the main one I'll be talking about tonight is our wheel supplier in mainland China and showing you all some photographs. And I was we've been working with them, this company, a little over a year, basically continuing to try and find better and better quality wheels. And this is, I was very, very excited. So let's talk a little bit about this. So I've kind of been planning this trip for months, really, trying to figure out, because we're part of, I need to actually change the slide here. There we go. Part of manufacturing is sourcing components, and as you all know, we source most of our bikes components from a very hyper-local network of suppliers, ranging from the whether we make it, the chassis for the 450, or if we have our Amish partner shop make it on the 250, or the fuel tanks, or the swing arms, or the forks, or the fenders, which we make in-house, or the handlebars and the wiring harness and all the different parts that we make in different places. There are some components that are not made hyper locally on our milk route, but instead come from either domestic partner suppliers or suppliers that are around the world, sometimes literally on the other side of the world. The main components that we source that are not in the States are, engines, all of our lighting, the headlights, turn indicators, did I say engines? Yeah, engines and shock absorbers. And then there's some, random bits and bobs, but those are the main. And wheels. Those are the main components that we outsource to specialty manufacturers. I was just corresponding with a customer interested customer who was asking about the engine and why we source the engine from China, and just you do run into that question because so much of our bike is locally made. However, it's increasingly difficult to find some components. Let's just say the engine, for example, because we focus on lightweight, small displacement motorcycles. Even larger OEMs like BMW source their engines from, if you think about the BMW F650 comes from made in China. Lots of other components like that are made in the Far East. And so that's where we look. And what we do is we search for the highest quality. And there's some really, really high quality parts coming out of there. And if you take a pragmatic approach to it, it's a really great way to continue to be able to get these components in, and components that they continue to develop along the way. So that would be for engines. Lighting we get from Taiwan. Shock absorbers come in from Australia. And all these are examples of places where they have focused on the development of this specific part. Icon, for example, it just happens to be in Australia, but they are the descendant of Coney Suspension, the motorcycle division. I've written at length about our engines in blog posts, and I've written about our suspension system. We have some videos on our suspension as well, the shock absorbers specifically. I don't think we've done a whole in-depth piece on our lighting, but I visited Taichung, where our lighting is made on this trip, and part of the process of being a manufacturer is establishing relationships with your vendors, whether they're down the road, and it's part of it is maintaining an open communication, making sure they have what they need and we have what we need. Beyond just simple payment and product delivery, you want to build a rapport and trust so that you can work together. And the same thing is true if they're literally on the other side of the world. So I had never been able to visit some of our suppliers in Asia, and I was kind of planning this out for quite some time. And it did take some planning, especially to get into the People's Republic of China. You have to get a visa in addition to your passport, and that I had to go to Chicago 3 different times to finally get the visa and letters of invitation and all this stuff. So anyway, finally made it happen. Spent 3 days in Taiwan, 4 days in China, I believe. And we're going to cover a little bit about our trip, mainly the Chinese portion and our wheel manufacturer that I visited. So let's go ahead and give you all a little tour. Make sure that all the technology is working here. Oh, it does work. Okay. Main thing I noticed was, well, here you go. Here's all the scooters in Taiwan. Shops, the people are living directly above their shop. Just incredibly picturesque and very, very different. I mean, I think that poem really does capture it's the same. Everybody's living the same lives, but it's so different. The approach, the food it's just the palate is just completely different than what we're used to. Even if let's say you think you know Chinese food from a Chinese restaurant, it is not as good. The flavors are much more subtle and delicious. Managed also to do some sightseeing in the process. All of my hosts were incredibly generous with their time and took me out to go sightseeing as well. So beautiful temples. This is a temple to Matsu, the goddess of the sea, and also very kind of titular goddess of Taiwan. Dragon. Kind of a traditional street landscape with scooters and small cars. Really traditional street. This is a home/store. And this picture this door just got me. The color is just incredibly gorgeous. Another temple. Having tea. I learned all about traditional Chinese tea making, which is not, it's similar to Japanese tea, but it's more pragmatic. It's just like a really concise way to make really good tea. It doesn't have all the formal and symbolic meanings of Japanese tea, but it was a lot of fun. So then headed from Taipei back over the Eastern Sea to Shanghai, and met with our wheel supplier, which is located about 5 hours west of Shanghai, up the Yangtze River, and was able to meet with the whole team. The owner is there in the middle with the dark blue shirt, and he's flanked by David, our salesman, the chief of manager of the forging division, who's standing up, their purchasing manager, the woman on the over here on the left side of the picture, and global sales manager on the right. incredible food. They treated me very well. And here we are in front of their brand new factory where they make wheels. So these are the wheels they make, and they have some really unique designs, which we'll go into a little bit, but I was able to basically tour the entire brand new factory, which is absolutely immaculate, state-of-the-art facility, and look at all the different wheels they make. And their specialty, which is perfect for us, is in thinner tired wheels, spoked wheels. So they don't do mag wheels or cast wheels or integrated wheels. Instead, they only do spoked aluminum wheels, like what we've always wanted to use on Janus, and they are the highest quality that we've been able to find anywhere. They supply some big name brands that I can't mention, but very well known brands around the world. Here's their new factory, absolutely immaculate. Mr. Xue there, the owner, gave us a tour. And the basic rundown of how they make these wheels is, I needed to not take pictures too close up, but I could take kind of big picture images of what was going on. But on the right is raw material. So they get aluminum extrusions. It depends on the what grade of wheel, depending on what grade of aluminum they're going to use. Higher, like racing wheels that they make, they use a higher strength aluminum alloy. Regular highway wheels are more than strong enough with a 7000 series aluminum. And so they get depending on what the size of the tire is in the application, they use different aluminum extrusion profiles. And then they put it through basically a roller, which is this machine under the orange little gantry. And out of each stick, let's say the stick is like 10 feet long, they can get kind of like a spire, a corkscrew, and they can get anywhere from 3 to 4 wheels out of that. And then it's kind of corkscrewed, and they chop it into those, and so that their ends are kind of offset, but then they can be lined up with each other. And there's another machine that then rolls them together until they're pretty well close together formed. Then they get welded together in another special machine. Then they get ground, so they grind off the weld, and then they're put in. Let me see if I have a picture of that. No, I don't have a picture of that. Then they're put in a machine that expands the rim and makes it perfectly circular, and then that machine also puts enough pressure on it that it tests the strength of the weld. Then it goes in another machine that double checks the roundness and corrects for any irregularities. Then they're polished, and then they are put in another machine. First they're polished, and then they're put in a special machine that puts the dimples in them. So if you notice your Janus rim, or really any high quality motorcycle rim, doesn't just have holes drilled in it. The hole is in the middle. There's a little dimple. There's a rounded section that pops up, and then the spoke comes out of that. And what that allows is that the spoke nipple, which is the portion at the end of the spoke, it's like a nut on the end of the spoke, which is threaded, and that's what allows you to adjust the tension of the spoke. But the nipple is then recessed into the rim, and so it doesn't bump into the inner tube or cause any potential for a puncture from the spoke itself, because the spoke is poking out toward where the tube would be. So it dimples and drills the hole for the spoke at the same time. Then this is a lot of automated processes on these big CNC machines. Then it is hand ground. They grind off the burrs, and then they outsource their anodizing. So the anodizing, it goes out. Oh, and I'm forgetting it gets annealed a couple of times, so they have to soften the aluminum again because it work hardens when it's rolled. They soften it before they do some of these processes. But after it's been annealed and worked, they then send it out, and it's heat treated, comes back, then it gets annealed, and then it gets anodized and laser etched, laser engraved, because every Janus wheel has not only Janus motorcycles engraved on it, but it has the special DOT marking that signifies that it meets DOT requirements. And that's one of the certifications that this factory has is ISO certification and DOT certification for the wheels. Let's see what else. Here we are. Then the rims are done, and that's really what they specialize in. They started making rims 20 years ago, and have since expanded into CNC machining and some other hardware development, rubber, but their backbone of their business really is these spoked wheels, and that's what this whole facility is devoted to, is making spoked wheels. And they supply, as I say, many wheel builders in Europe and elsewhere, because they're really, as far as rims go, as far as I'm aware of, there's one Italian supplier that makes kind of antiquated, historic rims. There's Buchanan here in the States, which makes very, 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 very expensive rims. And then they also source a lot of their rims from Asia. And then most of the other wheel makers here in the States get their rims from China, and most likely from if they're high quality, they're getting them from this company in China. Regardless, the next step after they've been engraved is that they start assembling them. So you have the hub here at the bottom, on the red and black hubs. The stainless steel spokes have been pre-installed in these by someone, and then the next step is that they get assembled onto the rim. So the guy on your left is installing the spokes, installing the nipples, and pre-tensioning them. He's just getting them in there semi-tight. And then the guy on the right is using a truing stand, which is something that we use in-house as well on our wheels. What you're checking for is that do I have another picture? Yeah, I do. He's checking that the wheel doesn't wobble side to side, and that it doesn't hop up and down. So the goal is to have a wheel that has absolutely no hop or run out laterally or vertically, axially on the axle. And that's something that we have had problems with over the years with different suppliers. All the rims that we get in, all the wheels that we have been getting in from this supplier are incredible. We've had lots of compliments on not only the trueness, but the balance of these wheels. So they are building a wheel right here. It's a very just incredibly peaceful, clean factory. I was really blown away. Great quality control. Pepsi can in Chinese. And there I am with their display of rims. And there we all are hanging out. Afterwards, we went out and had hot pot, which is literally a pot in the middle of that table that's on a convection burner that is bubbling, and you can put meat and vegetables and all kinds of things, including tripe that I ate there in the bowl, and we all drank Heineken, little glasses of Heineken, and toasted back and forth until I had far too much Heineken. But we had a really good time, and I think the key with this kind of activity is sitting around eating together and toasting each other and making small talk is to build trust and rapport, and that's what it's important for them, and it's also really important for me, because as a customer, to know that these people know what they're doing and that they are going to be a good partner. I should really mention this guy in the blue here is their chief manager of wheel assembly, and he is awesome, very knowledgeable. He was able to provide a lot of insight for me on some of the processes they use, how they ensure their quality, and we had lots of toasts and hugs. Great guy. So we had a really good time. It was a really fruitful visit, and had a really first time in Asia. Had a great time. On the way back, I got to take a ride on the bullet train back to Shanghai. So it made a 5-hour trip into 2 hours. And there I am, kind of a life goal. I've always wanted to see the Yangtze River. So there I am crossing one of the trade routes of the world and visiting another temple, garden, doing a little shopping before. This is a beautiful garden in Shanghai. And then looked at the Shanghai skyline at night and the Bund, which is actually a neoclassical whole street front, actually a neighborhood dating back to the concessions, as they call them, the British concession and the Dutch. Basically, they were when China was opened up, the 5 ports were opened up to the outside world in the mid to late 19th century. They opened up these areas where foreigners started doing business, and these were banks, customs houses, and trading points. Very similar to the way it is now for Western countries to be able to access the silk, the tea trades, and all the other China, porcelain trades in China. So I got to see that really interesting kind of over-the-top neoclassical architecture that looks a little bit out of place here in Shanghai. And then saying goodbye. So it was great to be able to put a face to a name. David is our representative. He's the guy I've been emailing thousands of times over the last year and a half. And it turns out he's not just a salesman. He's their engineer and quality control officer. So no wonder he's had such good, quick answers to my questions. So yeah, that's the update on my little Chinese trip, Asian trip. Had a really good time, ate extremely well, and had a good time. Let's take a look back at some comments, and we'll wrap up here. Let's see, where did we leave off? Let me go back to... Yeah, if you have any questions about any of this stuff, shoot them off. John Hiss, waiting for delivery in 2 days. Monkey ride. No, we got that one. Jeff Blind, our own Jeff, fabrication master. Jeff, Janus TT fabricator, rambling a Halcyon 250 number 87 and a Subaru Outback. Lol. Building cabinets in my garage and sipping on a Mountain Dew. Good to see you, Jeff. Roger Junt is on. Hey, Roger, good to see you. 250 number 1018, drinking Bud Light. Had to comment on Facebook as I'm unable to be on YouTube for some reason. Oh, bummer. Well, I'm glad it works on Facebook. That's good. Good to see you. It's been a bit. Confed Yank, yo, sipping some orange sun-kissed while chilling and dry and well in the land of central North Carolina. Storms only affected the west. Good to hear. Looking forward to commuting to work on my 100th anniversary Harley-Davidson Road King. Good to see you, Confed Yank. Grant says, Richard, you should update folks on Flat Track event coming up. Well, I have to actually know what that is. So let me read my messages here. I've been a little bit out of the loop here. Let's see. You're getting news real time here. Okay, so looks like the update is that we're going to be at the Moto Beach Classic put on by Roland Sands in California, Huntington Beach, California. And let me look up the dates on that. Grant, if you're on, you should post up the dates on that because I do not have it in front of me. Yeah. Semtech says, yep, been here since the beginning. Oh, that's good. Mostly lurking, but I watched every video. I felt like I knew Mitch from the videos. Great. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. Gary Smith is on, late to the stream today. Hello from East Lansing, Michigan. Halcyon 50, number 11, 250, number 79, Halcyon 450, number 3, and Phoenix 250, number 79, sipping on a Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Good to see you as always, Gary. Ian Hutchings, absolutely love y'all's bikes. Keep up the good work. Hey, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Motard says, thanks for the update, Richard. I will be at Barber regardless, but I'll keep an eye out for the Janus tent in the event y'all can send someone down. Awesome. Nicholas G's on Halcyon 250 number 1074, southeastern Connecticut. Multifarious, hey, got a few miles under the belt this weekend and spoke with Old Man One about the owner's list. Good. Halcyon 250 number 1067, Kingfisher and Cherry Zero drinking a Cherry Zero in Nebraska. Good to see you. Paul Zock. Evening, everyone. Halcyon number 911, Long Island, New York. Good to see you. Jim Bledsoe. How many pounds of powder coat are needed to coat all the body parts and the chain guard? I don't know the answer to that. Depends on how many times they have to do it. It's a good question. I'll write it down. I don't know if I know. Actually, I'm not sure who would know the answer to that other than Mike, who's our Amish powder coater. Let's see. Mick Langford. Late to the party. Winchester, Virginia. Halcyon 1093. Hank. Sipping hot tea. Good to see you, Mick. Perry Ford says, supplier relations is paramount to quality product. Thanks for going there, Richard. Absolutely. And I think it's something that we need to continue to do. One of the things I've heard, especially with working with distant suppliers and Asian suppliers, is that you need to continue to do this and continue to build the relationship. It isn't necessarily the first trip you visit that you get all the negotiations that you want to have happen. So it's something that we're going to treat like a work in progress and continue to visit and invite them to visit us as well. That's something that I also think will be really important, is to have them come over here and see just how we do things, and how it's we're more interested in quality products than we are in lowering the price, getting the lowest price per unit. That's not what we're interested in. We're interested in quality, which is why we're going to the best people. Kelly says, I put in just over 130 miles on the Janus this past Saturday around Winchester. Nice. Grant says, Motard, at the very least, we will have a Janus with our friends at Cycle Crate Company. There you go. That's at down at Barber he's referring to. Roger Gent says, in 2015, I purchased a set of black laced wheels through Indian Accessories from my Indian Scout. And the box that came in said, made in China. Yep, I wouldn't be surprised. Keith, great pictures, Richard. Actually, I'm not even slightly surprised. There are, for modern production motorcycles, it's likely that there are no modern production wheels coming from anywhere else. Were those steel or aluminum, Roger, on that Indian? I'm curious. I'm assuming they'd be aluminum. Bonneville Bagger, I'm coming in late. Was the trip about the blowout problem? Oh, you're talking about tubes. No, it was not about inner tubes. The inner tube issue is a interesting one. I hope you all realize that we are very much involved in that and watching it and addressing it. We actually switched suppliers on the inner tubes late spring as a result of these reports. We have been working with Western Power Sports is a big supplier, if you're not aware, of motorcycle components. And we have gotten the previous brand of inner tubes from them, and we are now getting a completely different brand of inner tubes. These are not cheap budget tubes. These are high quality inner tubes. They have reported no issues with the previous brand of blowouts. So we're having a hard time tracking down. I mean, I'm not questioning. I think we have seen some issues, but we've shifted to a different supplier, different brand of inner tube, and we should not see this happening anymore. If you're interested in any more on that, feel free to send me an email. I'm happy to talk about details, but it's not. It wouldn't warrant a trip to the supplier. Let's just say we just decided that we're going to no longer use that brand anymore, and that we're going to and we have been addressing it with Western Power Sports to see if we can figure out why this would happen, and if it is something that's endemic to the design, or they've seen other brands reporting this. One thing that might be the case is that we're such a large consumer of these that maybe we're the only people that are seeing this many of a specific type of tire being used, since folks like Western Power Sports typically are supplying repair shops that would be getting all different kinds of models, and so they wouldn't be seeing so many of a given size. So that might be the issue. Anyway, shifted to a different supplier. Feel free to email me, give us a call if you have questions on that. Kelly Chrisman says, when's next year's rally? That's a really good question. I think we decided on the weekend after the one we had for this rally. I'm actually do we have them for sale yet? If we don't have them for sale yet, I can't answer that. No, we still just have 2024 Owners Rally up. We'll post up the dates on that soon. I'll get them up. Semtech says, HB, my dad lives there. Thanks for sharing your pictures. HB. What does HB stand for? Is that something somewhere in China? I don't know. Nathan Gretenthaler. When are your skirted fenders going to be on the configurator? The skirted fenders are going to be launching very soon. One thing that we would like to have before we put them on the configurator is an updated front fender brace. We have noticed on the 450 that the increased weight of the fender can, in some situations, put too much stress on the front fender brace, and then you end up with broken tabs or a damaged fender. And so I've just finished, as of 2 weeks ago, redesigning the front fender brace so that it basically has twice as many mounting points. So it distributes the load out over the fender, and it is no longer a pinned connection at the drop it or the front swing arm. It now has 2 bolts. So that's one thing we're working on, and also Brent, our fender bit maker, is finalizing the production process so that we can guarantee that they're all going to be exactly the same. We're doing final tweaks on it. Mitch McLean. Mitch here in Goshen, Indiana. Phoenix 250 number 53 Herbie. Awesome. What are you sipping on, Mitch? Let's get all the parts of this in here. Roger Junt says, not sure on that. Whether they're steel or aluminum, I'm guessing. Motard says, thanks for the info at Grant Longabaugh. Nice. Bonneville Bagger. Awesome. I appreciate the honest, direct answer. I wasn't sure if the root issues was a spoke puncture or tube related. Well, I mean, I don't have a conclusive answer on that. All the ones that I've seen do appear to be a split at the tube or at the seam on the tube, on the inside. It's not coming through from the outside. The ones that I've seen. Doesn't mean that all the ones that are being reported are necessarily that way, but it does appears to be a split at the seam of the tube. So we no longer use that brand. Jim 240, Richard, I bought a Sedona tube last winter to have on the shelf. Should I throw it out? Sedona is how it's. I mean, I've run them for years. I hate to think that. One thing, what you could try doing, Jim, is take it off the shelf and fill it up with air, like overinflate it a little bit and let it sit for a while. Because what you're going to be doing by overinflating it, or not overinflating, just putting regular PSI of air in there. But what it'll do is it'll expand more than it can in the tire. And if it's going to rip, it'll rip within, I would imagine, a pretty short amount of time. I can't really offer a scientific answer to that question. So if you're how about this? If you're uncomfortable with running it, I would recommend getting a new tube. It's a pretty cheap fix for peace of mind. And it's a good idea to have fresh tubes for spares anyway. I like to replace them at least every 2 years, if not once a year anyway. If you have spare tubes, don't think that keeping that 5-year-old tube in your saddlebag is a good idea. It's not. That they can break down over that time, especially if they're not on the bike. So that's my recommendation. Mitch says September 21st. Oh, rally dates. There you go, folks. Mitch to the rescue. September 21st. Weekend of September 21st is next year's rally. Kelly says, thanks, Mitch. Semtech says, Mitch for the win. Huntington Beach. Awesome. Matt Dorsey's on. I need a 450 in Evansville, Indiana. We have a customer down in Evansville with a red 450 Halcyon. Maybe Mitch can put you in touch with him and you can test ride it. I love the look of your bikes. Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Gary Smith says the 2025 Owners Rally better be on September 19th through 21st since I've already booked my hotel room at the Best Western. Great. Nathan says, awesome news. Thank you, Richard. You're welcome. Mitch says, War Pigs Lazarite IPA. Nice. Cheers, Mitch. Cheers. Jim 240, good idea, Richard. Thanks. Oh, on inflating the tube. Yeah, I mean that would be one thing you could do. I would say though, if you're uncomfortable, just get another one. They're not that expensive. Tom Lathrop, boom. Mine split on a seam and no spoke damage was evident on wheel band and no spoke extended into rim beyond the spoke nut. Yeah, I had it happen to me. I was riding around Lake Michigan and I was accelerating from a stoplight and I felt the back get a little weird. And then like a mile later, I was like, I definitely have a flat tire. So I pulled over and had to change the tire on the side of the road. And it did appear to be a split. And it lined up with what I think is, I don't know how inner tubes are made, but it appears that there's a seam on the inside edge of the tube, which would make sense that they wouldn't put it on the outside. And it seemed like it had just kind of like opened up, but in a tiny, tiny hole, but enough to obviously lose all the air in it. So that makes sense. I don't know why it would be happening, but again, we are no longer using that supplier. We're using a brand called IRC, which I've been using IRC tires for many, many years. I believe IRC is a Eastern European or European brand. Really well-known, reputable tire brand. Sort of like Heidenau. They're in that kind of Heidenau Sava league of tires. Russell Peters says in Owensboro, Kentucky, short ride to Evansville. Nice. Well, there you go. There's somebody. Richard DeVoe, late arrival. Any update on footboards for 450? Good question. I have not had much time in the design chair. Last week, before I left, I did a whole bunch of update design. I basically spent my entire week trying to catch up on design work. I am working on bolstering our design capabilities here. Again, we need more design help. We've gotten some more. We now have 3 designers, if you count me as a designer, because I'm not often in the design chair. And I think we need another one. We need a draftsman to be able to keeping these designs up. So right now, the holdup on the floorboards is the controls, the extended control, the new controls. We have prototypes, but I need to follow up on that. So it is taking us a little longer, I realize, on some of these updates, but our plan right now is that we are going to bolster the place where it's slow is in the design. It's not in the purchasing and the supply chain and the fabrication. It's really right here, right now. So we've got a plan in place, and we'll bring these out faster. Hey, Jordan Lake is on. Yeah, buddy, love these guys. The rally was amazing. You all should plan on making it for 2025 too. Good to miss. Awesome. Hey, Jordan, you need to tell me, where did you leave my keys to the TT? I got here to prepare for this, and I realized that I didn't have my keys. So let me know where my keys are. Jordan, if you aren't familiar, Jordan is the builder of the flat track bike that we're campaigning, and Jordan has been awesome. He spent another week up here a week ago and borrowed my keys. Mick Langford says, maybe I missed it. When did you change suppliers of the inner tube? We were just talking about this. I think it was like March or maybe April. I could be wrong on that. It was late. It was spring of this year that we shifted. If you have any questions on what you have, we can answer that. Yeah, we can work through that. Roger says, on my rear wheel, the stem separated from the tube in a clean brake. Well, that's not the same issue. That's a different problem. Not a good one to have, but not the same thing we've been having with the split. And the other thing is that sometimes tubes do fail. I'm not trying to minimize this by any means, but I have had inner tubes fail on me before. It is one of the frustrations with tube type wheels is that you do have to, when you get a flat or you get a issue, you do have to take the wheel off and replace unmount at least one side of the tire, replace the inner tube, and then reseat it, inflate it, and then reinstall the wheel. One of the downsides of a tube type wheel, which we use because I love spoked wheels. They fit the bill of our bike, and they're very lightweight. They're a very high performance option. Maybe someday we can go tubeless. For the time being, I know that there's been some conversation on the owners forum about tubeless conversions on a tube rim. I'm not going to tell you what to do. My thoughts on that are that it's a fairly complex system that you have to install to make that work, and I think it's sort of overkill for a problem that you just need to learn how to change a tube on the side of the road. It's part of rambling, getting a flat tire. In all the years of riding and thousands of miles I've had very few flat tires. The key, in my opinion, unless you have, like we've had, which I'm admitting, I think that we have had an issue with the inner tubes. Unless you have some kind of random thing happen, the number one thing you can do to prevent flat tires is change your tires when they get to their maximum wear. The saying, I believe, is 90% of flat tires occur within the last 10% of tread life. So do not run your tires down low on the tread, because that makes them much more susceptible to picking up something, and then for that something to actually puncture the tire. It doesn't mean that you can't hit that screw just right on a brand new tire and still have an issue, but yeah. School friend Steve. Oh, I don't recognize that handle. Had an eye on your bikes for years. Finally found a Halcyon 250 for sale and picked it up last month. Congratulations, man. Loving the ramble here in Wisconsin. You built a great community. Thanks for hearing it. Always looking to improve and always looking to add more people. So welcome to the Ramblestream. Hope you continue to join us. Let me highlight that comment. There we go. Gang of 4. Gerstner wooden tool. Oh, now we're talking. Okay, so I know the sales rep, the manager for Gerstner. Gerstner, if you're not familiar, is a toolbox manufacturer located in Dayton or Columbus. I think it's Dayton, Ohio. Beautiful tool sets, really geared for machinists, aviation mechanics, specialists. And we have had conversations with them about making a toolbox for the Janus bike. They want to do it. They put together a little rendering for me. It's just a matter of making that happen. So I would like to see that happen in the near future. Watch this space, as they say. Riggedy Alps says, any thoughts on running something like flat out in the tires to self-seal if tubes decide to split? I am not a fan of putting tire goop in your tires. I mean, my take is when I go far enough away from home, Well, in the words of, this is the Ramblestream after all. Let's look at the back here. Let's see here. Packing? Is that what it is? No. Multi-day rambles. Heading out on the road for more than a day will involve finding... Wait, I can't remember my own book here. Longer rambles. If you're planning on longer ramble where you will be further afield, it's always a good idea to plan to be able to get the bike home under your own power, if at all possible. This is chapter 19, longer rambles. While that friend or spouse may be happy to pick you up from the coffee shop, driving 2 or 3 hours to rescue you because you had a flat tire, ran out of gas, or broke a clutch cable may be a tougher ask. For this type of ride, you should plan to add a few additional items to what we have listed previously. Definitely plan on bringing that fuel bottle and tire kit. So when I go on a longer ride where I'm going to be further afield, I bring a tire kit. And my tire kit, let me show you. My tire kit involves an inner tube. Let's see if this is the right. This might be a Sedona. Yeah, it involves a Sedona inner tube. Maybe I should replace that. And what I usually do on a 1818 bike, on a bike with 18-inch wheels, is I run a front tube, one extra front tube, and then I can put it in the front or the back, and it can overexpand to fit it. You might want to consider, that's just kind of like a get you home, like emergency scenario, but then I have this is a portable tire inflator. It's just a little tire pump, battery powered. This was given to me by a customer. This one is he actually on here? No, he's not on here right now. But it's called, the brand is Air Moto. Highly recommend it. Really cool. You can, it'll inflate the tire quite a bit. And then you have a tire iron. This helps you install the tire, holds the bead in place while you work the other side around. Oh, and then I have a Rambler's Companion in there. And then in my tool kit, my main tool, that's the tire, and then I'll have I use a little bottle of rubbing alcohol to lubricate the tire to get it on. And then last but not least, you need to have tire irons. And the tire irons I keep in my main toolbox because they have, on one end, they have the front and rear axle nut sizes. That's the complicated thing. If you ride a 450, you need to have a 30 millimeter socket or a tool that's able to, it's a 98 foot-pounds. So you really have to have something that can get that axle loosened up. On the 250, it's not as complicated. 22 millimeter? I can't remember what the size of the 250 rear axle is. Anyway, we're going over time here, but I always take a tire kit with me, and I do not use tire goop to answer your question. I just think that's kind of weird. But your mileage may vary. Use your own good taste, as they say. We're going to wrap this up here. Jim240, got my 450 service stand. Nice job. Any news on the fishtails? If you have a service stand and on order and you haven't gotten it yet, they are shipping out. They are ripping through the orders of those. Fishtails we should have the first batch back soon, and it's a big batch. They're coming out. They're coming. Adam Diaz, hey Adam. Adam, if y'all don't know, is a incredible exhaust builder, chassis tooling maker. He built all the tooling for our 450 chassis, and he's also built the exhaust for the Griffin 450 flat track bike. Good to see Adam. Oh, and he says, finally was able to attend this. I like the office space. I know that spot. Gang of Four says New Hampshire here. Good. Huntington Beach. Oh, HB. Great. Okay, there we go. Gang of Four, Huntington Beach bad boy. Multifarious 250 spokes and inflated tire is the 250 rear suspension. You got it. You also got springs under your seat. Ray Spengler says, is there a video on how to change the tube on front and rear wheels for the 250? I don't think there is. We need to do that. It's the same front and back. I mean, I guess it's different. If you have a rear flat, you have to get the drive chain off, which is a little bit more work. Making a note of that. Superb wooden toolboxes. Yes, they make incredible toolboxes. This box over here is what a Gerstner looks like. I have to say, I've had this for many years, and it's not a real Gerstner. This is like the Harbor Freight version. I keep my art supplies in it. One day I will save up for a Gerstner. Daniel Hood. Hey, Halcyon 450 number 157 saying hey from Central New York. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Riggedy Alf says, la la la, not listening, only on chapter 7. Kelly says, good night, and I'll see you next week. Good night, Kelly. Thanks for joining us. Stephen Galarza says, what mileage should we expect out of the Duros? That's a really good question. You're going to get, of course, more mileage out of your front tire than your rear. I think, if you're heavy on the gas, you'll see less mileage. You should see it. I would think 5,000 to 6,000 on the rear tire. I don't actually know. You're exposing I should know the answer to that. 5 or 6 on the stock 250 tires, 450s. Pete Marino would be able to answer that one. Let me look that up. Rowan's on. Hey, Rowan. Rowan, Origin 1, Northern California, sipping on Grape Crush. Finally home after 5 weeks away. Hey, so you've been traveling too, and a long ramble out here. Thanks for making it all the way to the rally. Russell says, pins on stand do not fit well. Had to drive in. Red rill pin hole larger for handle removal. Yeah, we have noticed on this first batch that when they drill them, they're hand drilled, and we're needing to match them. So I was actually working today on a solution for making sure that the pinholes line up better. So we are working on that. If you do have one, drilling it out is the easiest fix on that. So my apologies if you already got one that has that issue. We are working to resolve that. Martin Ostrinskaya, do you think you can make me a tank that looks just like the Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley? Like maybe the main tank would have an engrave of Squiggy's face, and on the side it can say Squiggy on one side and then Andrew Squigman on the other. He was amazing. Thanks a lot. If it's an art piece, that we can probably do something. Get a hold of us. Talk to our sales team. I'm gonna expose my lack of knowledge of that. It's an art thing. Okay. Yeah, give us a call. We can probably make something work. Gang of Four says, later, man, I just stumbled on your channel. Oh, thanks for joining. Come on back every Monday night at 7 p.m. Most every night. We changed our rear 450 tires at just shy of 7,000, say the Felix brothers. So that's 2 people. And you all probably have somewhat similar riding styles. Yeah, I would say you should easily bank on getting 5,000 or 6,000, maybe more. And certainly that's probably the front tire you'll get more mileage out of. Riggedy Alp says, I believe Pete told me somewhere around 8,000 for the tires, at least the rear. Yeah, I think he'd get some really oddly high mileage. I'm not sure everybody would be able to replicate that. I'd say, again, 5 or 6 would be a guarantee. Simtech says, quick question, what's the lead time on H250s currently? Thanks. If Mitch is still on, he can probably answer that better than I can. Give us a call. I don't have the lead time right now. It varies a little bit. Right now, we are selling a lot of bikes, so it might be a little bit higher. But yeah, give us a call. 574-538-1350 during office hours. Or you can email me, and I will be able to do the homework for you. Richard at Janus Motorcycles. There we go. Mitch is on. He's on it. 8 to 10 weeks build time on a 250 right now. Thank you, Mitch. Okay, folks, we are over 10 minutes over time. Thank you all for hanging out as long as you have. We've had quite a few people on watching. 60 are still on 10 minutes after we should be done. I will be next week. I'm on vacation. And so I will be out. I will see about being able to do a ramble stream. I probably won't. But after that, we're going to be doing less traveling. So we'll be more regular. Thank you all. I will post. By the way, if you're on the owners forum, I'm trying to post up more on these. If you have follow-up questions from the ramble stream, post them up there on that on the owners forum. It's under the news section, and I will do my best to answer them. Thanks so much, and I will catch you all next time.